Okay. Now, I've been contacted by a member on the South Coast who's had at least 2 letters with a year in between saying, you know, thanks very much for your submittal, come back and see us in a year. Then we're looking at 4 years for preparation of an update, then 3 to 5 years of approval. So we're looking at up to 10 years just to get a denial. And that's where my frustration comes in, because that person in particular is being denied his day in court, basically, to bring his project forward, to even get denied. And that is the worst form of government that we could come up with. At least give the person the answer of no. Instead, we screw around with them, and if we don't accomplish one thing, it moves on to the Coastal Commission, and they really screw with the person of just letting it languish without giving them a yes or a no. And that's why I ran for office, and that's probably the frustration why I'm not running for re-office, because nothing is getting fixed. We've accepted $161,000 to prepare this update. There's 2 grants we accept, one for 81 and change, one for 79 and change. They add up to 161,364. Was there any completion date attached to those grants? Because
no, it was made very clear at the time that that was phase A and phase B of who knows how many phases to get to the finish line, because it was a grant program that ran from year to year. I'll also say that we would ask, in each one we asked for typically $140,000 to $160,000. We were granted $80,000 and told to do more than what we said we would do for the $160,000. The funding dried up on those, and that project stopped.
Okay. And then I go back to a comment I think I heard, and I need to confirm this, of the last discussion we had 2-3 weeks ago, that there is no time stamp mandate for these updates. It just, our document says we will review it in 5 years.
That's correct.
Not from the Coastal Commission, such as the 20-year general plan amendment or anything like that.
That's my understanding.
So not only are these applicants, but we, the county, are held in a catch-22. We're screwed no matter which way we look situation, because ultimately if we take the $49 route or the $800,000 route, I'd be willing to bet you $100 that no matter what route we took, it wouldn't be good enough. And we'd wind up going to Johnny's route of 2 to 3 times the total cost of doing something to folks that are our citizens that even we wouldn't even conceive of doing. And that is a taking, and I go back to Supervisor Delbar's words. So, you know, I'm looking at the recommended action as two components. One, I would suggest and offer up that we start the low-cost proposal and start moving forward with that. 2, we initiate legislation, whether or not there's money there or not, to identify the problem to our legislators and be gathering support from the other counties to sign on as co-sponsors, to begin the research and the background for a possible lawsuit that might, and I'll probably bet you $100 again that we're going to wind up going to that route, and 4, propose a CSAC local coastal plan workshop to invite all the counties in the state that have to do this monstrosity of a project and have it sit out in the abyss and not, you know, have any action taken on the individual plans. So kind of a four-prong approach, but if our elected officials in Sacramento, they want to let it languish, then we take the CSAC approach and we start throwing a heavy hammer around, and we have a workshop, we gather some partners, and then it could evolve into a class action lawsuit, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just totally frustrated because here we have a good idea that's gone completely whacked, and people are having control over us that aren't responsible to us, our citizens, and I'm totally ashamed of how it's evolved into that situation. It started off as a good idea to protect the coast and et cetera, but you know, I'm starting to rant. I'm starting to show a lot more passion than I should be, but that's the level of frustration that I have, and I don't even have an application. I can't imagine what the applicant must be feeling to be caught in this total catch-22 situation that keeps signing those checks, and time goes by, and he doesn't even get a visit down the chimney from Santa with a no response. And it's just, it's an abysmal situation, and I'm ashamed to have to be discussing, and as my other colleague says, wasting my time with such a common sense solution. And it's almost as if the Coastal Commission just likes to smell tire smoke, because all we're doing here is spinning tires and wasting people's money and nothing's getting accomplished. So, you know, I don't know if these 4 suggestions would help, but it certainly starts ringing the alarm bell of liberty that this system's screwed up, and we need to address it somehow. So maybe I am grandstanding, but man, I'm really frustrated with this situation. Please.
So if I could, between the specific actions that Kendall was talking about and the specific actions that you talked about, they're kind of 5 total between the two. So just to recap, one was contacting other planning directors and seeing commonality there and looking at possible actions. Another was contacting supervisors of other coastal counties, and then maybe it's 6, because beyond that, then you talked about an actual conference or workshop or some chance to get together, which could involve both the planning directors and the supervisors from those counties. Letters to state legislators. You mentioned the possible lawsuit, and then the whole concept of an LCP update light, $49 special, you know, whatever, which the planning team could certainly prepare that option for your consideration.
Okay, Supervisor Pinches.
Well, first of all, I'd probably support it up to $69. I wouldn't do that. You know, this is really not a coastal protection issue. This is fair and equitable private property rights. I mean, people on the coast, within the coastal zone, they have private property rights too. You know, and that's what this is really about. This is not about coastal. This process that the Coastal Commission has evolved into, it's not about coastal protection. It's about infringing on people's private property rights. And it's not wrong. Frankly, if I think even the people who want the most avid supporters of the coastline, I don't think that they would have supported the Coastal Act if they'd have known that this process was turned into what it is.
Supervisor Delbar, well, you're recognized.
Thank you. Ms. Glassy, what I heard Supervisor Smith say and Supervisor Wattenberger say are similar, but I think the 4 points that the chairman brought up account for or include the actions that Supervisor Smith was mentioning. They take it a tad bit further, and I'm very supportive of those 4 points. I think that one, having staff come back with the $49 special and how that looks and for approval later is first point. Second, we need to initiate that legislation. We need to ask